It made it very apparent that Langa is from Canada because all they do is snowboard in Canada apparently, so and eat poutine.
So you want to make poutine, you're gonna need potatoes, but if you got 2 potatoes, you gotta try to juggle, and that was pretty solid. Now I am using some regular old russet potatoes, but Yukons work really well here as well. Trim them up, slice them into about 1/2 inch of thickness, and then give these a nice slice to get a baton. No, we don't have a fancy potato cutter, so just use your knife like a normal person. Once you have your potatoes sliced up, grab yourself a bowl of cold water, place all of your potatoes into that just to make sure they soak for around 15 to 20 minutes to remove any excess starch. Now we're gonna start prepping the gravy, and for the gravy you need 1/2 an onion, nicely small diced, and then give it a quick mince. The size that you want is something that you would think of on an animal style In-N-Out burger that you would use for sauce. Now I'm also throwing in 3 cloves of whole garlic, which I've already peeled, smashed, and then give it a quick chop. Throw that right on top of your onions because we're gonna cook them at the same time. Now try to add 60 grams worth of whole butter directly into your pan and fail horribly, and after many attempts, finally get the butter in there and melt it over a gentle medium heat.
Making gravy, 11:30 in the morning, making gravy.
After whatever song that was, add all of your onions and your garlic directly to your gently melted butter. Turn the heat to low, let this sweat while you kind of moonwalk out like Vampire Michael Jackson. Now this does need to cook for around 10 or 15 minutes to perfectly sweat. Remember, we're not trying to caramelize them at all. Give this a couple of heavy pinches of salt and a bunch of cracked black pepper. Give this a quick stir to incorporate your spices and your seasonings, and this is what your onions and garlic should start to look like. Look at it, dude, you just made a mess. What was the point of that?
Clean this up a little bit. It's my bad.
Now that your onions and garlic have sweat with that butter, we're going to add our flour to make our roux. I'm using a 1-to-1 ratio, so in this case, I'm using 60 grams of all-purpose flour. Stir this to combine over a low heat.
For my poutine, I am using both beef stock and chicken stock, and honestly, I don't have any on hand, so I went ahead and picked up some from Kettle and Fire. If you need stock, don't freak out. Just go buy some. You don't always need to buy veal bones to make your own stock, you know? We're just trying to eat some potatoes covered in gravy.
Now for potatoes covered in gravy, we're going to need 250 milliliters worth of chicken stock and an equal portion 250 milliliters worth of beef stock. Slowly start adding this into your roux, onion, and garlic mixture. Bring this up to heat and make sure it is thoroughly mixed to combine. You don't want any big lumps of flour here. Hit this with a few splashes of Worcestershire sauce. Give this a quick stir to incorporate that, and your gravy should be good to go. You want to make sure when you make any kind of a gravy or a sauce like this to taste it throughout the process, so that way you know whether or not it needs more salt or pepper. In my case, it needed a lot more salt and a lot more pepper. Give this another stir to make sure all of that is beautifully combined. Give it another taste just to make sure it's good. Once it's ready to go, place it on the stove to keep warm.
That was easy.
Now the potatoes need to be drained and dried. The reason why I'm drying them like this is because I'm actually going to double fry these versus boiling them or blanching them first and then frying them. Place them onto a couple of paper towels, roll them up, and realize that your paper towels aren't that great, so you're gonna dry them on a rack.
What? It's not Bounty, okay? They're like Costco paper towels, which aren't bad. Not good enough?
Lay your potatoes out on your rack, making sure to recover any that may have gotten away, and let's get ready to fry.
Okay, fry time. My favorite time, to be honest.
Now start frying your potatoes at 300 degrees Fahrenheit in some regular old vegetable oil. This is going to be the first fry. Don't walk away from the fryer like this guy. This is going to take around 5 to 8 minutes depending on the size of your potatoes, but make sure that they're just slightly tender and not golden brown. Place them back onto the rack to drain and to cool down for about 5 minutes. And then grab your gravy and slightly puree this. The reason why I wanted to puree is to have somewhat of a smooth gravy in addition to the chunky stuff that's in there versus just a completely chunky gravy. I actually really like my gravy like this, but feel free to skip this step if you want the chunky boy. Now that our fryer has reheated to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, place the potatoes back in there to give them that beautiful deep golden brown color and finish cooking them. This is the double fry method, and I will say if you don't want to use the double fry method, you can use the fry method from Once Upon a Time in Mondstadt, my Genshin Impact video I recently did. Now once you have all your potatoes fried and ready to go, make sure you do season those.
Plate up time. Oh god, my mic's caught. Oh god, here we go. Now normally poutine is served on a plate, so that way you get beautiful coverage over everything, but I kind of want to do it in a bowl.
Start off with just a small ladle of gravy at the bottom, followed by a few pieces of your cheese curd.
This is like when you put the gravy and the cheese at the bottom. To me, it's like eating one of those ice cream cones and there's that little bit of chocolate right at the bottom of the cone. It's like one of the best parts. That's what that is.
Now after the initial gravy and cheese curd layer, add a layer of fries followed by more cheese curd and then another layer of gravy. Don't go too hard on the gravy, otherwise it's gonna pile up like mine does later. Follow this by another layer of your french fries, more cheese curds, and more gravy, followed by more french fries, more gravy, top it with cheese curds, and then
I have a chef friend from Canada. Says if you have cheese curds and they're not covered in gravy, it's wrong. So we're gonna do up one of those. There's a lot of gravy in that bowl. There it is, guys. Langa's Poutine from Skate the Infinity. One of my favorite animes of that season. And I mean, I love sports animes, and this is gonna be a disaster. I think what I like about poutine the most is that it evolves as you eat it. Sometimes you'll get the crispy fries right on top, but then it just kind of turns into more of what it's supposed to be. Amazing. Cheers. It's so rich. The gravy has a slight sweetness from the onions and the garlic. Then you have those beautiful potatoes that still have a little bit of crunch to them, but end up just tasting like a baked potato. Then of course you have the really good cheese curds that I actually got from Wisconsin. Those are really nice. And I mean, it's like comfort food, you know? I don't know how much more I can, I've like legit had one bite and I'm gonna tap out. I want the stuff at the bottom. Give me this potato and gravy. Oh my God, it's like a gravy bowl. If you want this recipe and so many others, check out chefpk.com. My name is Chef PK. Get subscribed. And remember, keep playing with your food.